Hey guys, Big Chonas here. I just wanted to touch base on Bitcoin and some price action. First, I wanted to touch base on this tweet I put out about a day ago, talking about them on the Bitstamp chart here. And basically, what it shows is our purple line of support that is held in log scale since July of 2012 was tested a couple times in 2016, 2017. And once again, with our new bear break in Bitcoin, has once again been touched and tested. And we actually had a nice little bounce, about $300 so far, as we are holding currently in this 5,500 area. And, this is a very notable line because this was the line that, when tested in July of 16 and 17, held the price of Bitcoin up as it rose over $1,000 and extended our bull run to 20K. Because we are retesting it, are we in another situation where this line will actually show support can be held and actually hold the price, confirming that we have hit a bottom? Now, a break of this line, and it doesn't seem like it was even an intraday. I'm on the weekly here, but it doesn't even seem like it even happened as a break intraday there. So definitely a break of this line. Basically, in this area, anything under, you know, basically anything under 5K is definitely a break of this line for sure, in that area as well. But definitely retesting that 5,100 to almost 5K area would probably poke us under as well. So we'll keep an eye on this because, listen, this is a major support line. If broken, it could become a major resistance line. And listen, if we start our Fibonacci from where this line actually began to hold the price of Bitcoin there above it, it was somewhere around the $7 range of Bitcoin. And if we take a 78.6 retrace from that actually puts us around the $4,200 area. Now, obviously, people have been using their own bottoms for their Fibonacci retraces, and some, put that 78 area around the $4,800 area, maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower. And really, there's no way to tell where the actual bottom was because, frankly, Bitcoin just started at, a penny and, has been moving up pretty amazingly over its 10 years of price history here. So we'll keep an eye on this here and see the price interaction. A failure of this could definitely put this line, which has been a very strong support, into a new resistance level. Now, going to our daily chart here. Okay, day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're in our 6th red day in a row. Going to pull up some indicators. We're still outside of our lower Bollinger. We are still rejecting our lower Bollinger. We actually touched it here, got closer here. Now we touched it again intraday, pulled back a little bit. This will get inside at some point, but just shows how bearish this market is. Not ready, even after a 1,000-point drop. Not ready to slingshot higher. Now, our selling has decreased. Our buying has not shown up yet, and that's why we're seeing our stability here. Notice our daily, our bodies are going lower than lower and lower. So we're putting in lower lows still. As we have 3 hours or so left in this current daily candle here, we see all of our EMAs of trying to fan out bearishly, obviously, after our very tight Bollingers are now splitting apart. Our spacing is something to what we had back in September area when we had, a definitely similar bear break when we went from $7,300. We went about $1,100, $1,200 price move there. Very similar from a dollar amount move there, and you see what kind of happened there. Now, remember the last time we did break bearish here after putting in 4 days of bearish price action. Okay, we had a failed rally here, and it took us a while to kind of climb back higher to only put in a lower low after we had this little correction rally that found our resistance on our EMA 12 and could not get above it there until it came through and broke above. Our EMA 12 is our leading indicator, and it's right here at $5,900 and falling. So these will touch eventually. The question is when and where. Will it be out here? And what's this kind of volume? What's this big money buying that's kind of basically decide that this is a buying opportunity? Looking here at our RSI daily. Again, we're flattened, but we are weak. This is weak. This is, yes, it's oversold, but it's oversold weak. And it just shows that money's very tight here and does not ready to come in yet. Now, both of our leading indicator and trailing of our stochastic have zeroed here. This is notable. This is our first zeroing since early September, and obviously with this bear break, would definitely expect it to get down there. Now both have pancaked as our MACD continues to spread out. Very bearish here. Look at our indicators are really spread apart. Wow, this is very spread. I'm going back here to see can we find a situation where our blue is way lower than our orange, and we're basically pushing those limits here with another very bearish histogram that's almost building and is now putting in a lower low than our September low. So now we're almost targeting what we had here in August down to this area here, and we're almost about halfway there. Looking here at our on balance volume, this was kind of really a shame because this was really our last area there of that bullish divergence we were watching, and it failed. This was a lot of Bitcoin was dumped. A lot of Bitcoin was dumped, and a lot of buy orders were probably executed at like 6K, 5,900, 5,800. Now they're probably underwater because of how fast this move went. We clearly see that a lot of Bitcoin was just sold and converted probably to cash. Looking at our chalk and money flow. Now, when we had our little bounce, when we actually found support at 5,200, we did see that money flow come back in and that bought that up. Remember, that was where we tested our initial line I showed you earlier to put in a lower low there. Now we're just kind of chilling out here. Right, I'm going to move this line to where we're hitting that resistance there. Now this is my line I'm going to keep an eye on, noting our next area of resistance up there. So we're watching that money flow. We're above our zero line on our daily, which is good because we were mired in it below for quite a while here. But we'll keep an eye on that and see if we can get that new money coming back in. Those feeling maybe Bitcoin could be a value at this point. I want to bring up our squeeze momentum. Now we were having this equilibrium for such a long time, higher low, lower high, higher low, lower high, very tight, and now we've broken that bearish, obviously. We've put in a lower low than these two previous candles here, targeting down here for another attempt to find some support in its bearishness. So still our indicators are not really showing any sign of this lightening up, other than the fact that we're just very oversold from a technical standpoint, and need to basically do some sideways price action to at least allow some of our EMAs to catch up to our price there. I want to bring up our longs and our shorts to get a quick look at that. Bitcoin shorts, just weak. They didn't start loading this candle here till a lot into the day there, and then they're just taking their profits. They're just taking their profits. They're correcting, but they're just not showing any sense that they're really ready to take on that trade because of the fear that Bitcoin could just miraculously spike up out of some either news-based event or just the fact that this is a low-volume environment. Many things can happen very quickly with not a lot of money flow. Looking at our longs, and this has been kind of interesting how they've been holding up after all this bear break. They're still angled higher and still in our bull channel. And that basically shows that they're actually, I don't know what this shows. Listen, a lot of this longing was bought into and held through this 1,000-point drop. We pulled back about 300 of that back, and they're still adding. And it's kind of contrary to what shorts are doing. In the meantime, the price of Bitcoin is $1,000 less than it was last week. So still a lot of uncertainty, I think, in both ends here, and neither are over leveraged. Although I think the longs are a little over more over leveraged than the shorts could be. Our Bitcoin futures chart. Listen, all the lower gaps are filled for sure. We did close the week out at 54.14, so if we probably, tough to say, this will open up tomorrow, about a little over 24 hours from now, and we'll see potentially if there's a little gap in that when we open up. These all seem to be pretty full. All the gaps on the higher time frames are filled. I know the 4-hour ones were filled. I checked those out. What is that? Hold on here. what do we got here? This looks, there's a little gap there, 54.70, but we're so close to where the close was. And, no, what? Actually, hold on. Oh, no, there's a peg. That's good. Okay, that's clean. That's clean, that's clean, that's all clean. That's all clean. Yeah, that's good. So the 4 hour is good. Let's go down to the 1 hour. I know this was all pretty clean. Looks, there's a little gap here. Get rid of my Bollingers here so you can see it. There's, oh, no, take that back. There's no gap there. Oh, but there is one here. Yeah, there's totally one here. Look at that. There's a gap right here on the 1 hour between 61.80 and 61.84. That is interesting. So I'm going to mark that. And it has to close to the higher gap. Wait, am I looking at this right? Yeah, because there was the close, there's the body, and there's the body, and there's the gap. So that's interesting. That's on the hourly chart. This one's clean. This one's clean. This is all clean. This looks good. This looks good. All right, so yeah, there is on the hourly chart, there's a $4 gap right at 61.85. That is notable. We will keep that in mind. Altcoins not having the best day either, except for Ripple, huh? Ripple keeps moving higher and looks like it's getting back to that area. Let me go back to my daily here, where it had actually been wicked out. The last time with this resistance here, we were stopped here. We had a big pullback here to the EMA 55 held support. Now we are once again going to extend my purple line here because listen, look at all these wicks here. All these wicks here we had in early September. That's notable, and this is the area. This is the area you need to break out. But I mean, until then, we're definitely putting in an ascending triangle. As we're putting in higher lows and the same high. Now that we basically set that line there, so we could still continue to bust through this without getting through there for a while. But as long as we keep our higher lows pattern intact, especially our closing candle. Remember, intraday this looked pretty bad, but look where it closed above all of our EMAs there that showed the bullishness could continue, and has here for several more days. Ethereum, Litecoin pretty much staying in sync with what Bitcoin's doing as well. Lumen also looking pretty good, still putting in that ascending triangle as well. Short term, still hitting that resistance here on the 4,400 Satoshi area. Next stop will be 48. But it's impressive that there's been a couple altcoins that have bucked the trend, have definitely bucked the trend, if you will. Lumen definitely had its capitulation moment. Let's just start from ground zero to the top here. It literally found support right here, very close to that 786 pullback. And from there on in, it has been putting in these higher lows, but also lower lows as well. And we're just beginning to see if we can break through that trend there. But until we get through this area, we're putting in a short-term ascending triangle here with a longer-term one that gets us up to higher there. But keep an eye on that. And I like the volume of this one as well. I'm on the Binance Exchange there. Interesting, though. Everything looks different on a different chart here. But this is our XLM USD chart. And yeah, there's our higher low rejection. So remember, this is showing us bullish divergence in the BTC pairing, even though the USD pairing is kind of flat and still holding in this area there. So that's notable because what that means is we're actually seeing bullish divergence. Even if Bitcoin goes lower, Lumen in relation to Bitcoin is actually holding up and actually showing some buying strength. So that's interesting because if Bitcoin can go bullish, these are the coins that have a chance to actually keep and maintain and almost build on their bullishness there. So I think that's all I wanted to talk about here. Let me quickly go back to our Bitcoin chart and just kind of finish up here because we're heading into tomorrow. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. I wanted to bring up, let's bring up our weekly. There we go. And listen, this is our weekly chart here. We have put in new lows. I can actually put in a November low now because we haven't really established it. We knew where October 1 is, October high, August low, September high, June low. Where's my July high? There it is, July high. And now we have this new low. And listen, if we go back into time here and talk about this little area that happened the week of October 9th to October 16th a year ago, where we just blasted through the 5Ks like it was nothing after having a little consolidation here. We're right back there, and we didn't stop on any horizontal support. We see this candle here found support at 51.22. We haven't touched that yet. This candle here topped out at 49.80, and we obviously haven't touched that yet. So because we've currently found support at this 51.98 area, other than our angled support and log scale from a historic standpoint, nothing horizontally has stopped this price action from going lower. And we'll continue to watch our EMA, AMA support. We notice that we're still outside of our Bollingers here on the weekly as well. So I would look to try and get at least back into our weekly Bollinger here because, from a weekly standpoint, that's very oversold. All right, guys, thank you very much for following me. If you like this content, please give me a thumbs up. Remember to follow me on Twitter as well, Big Jonas. And we'll be in touch. Talk to you soon.